Call Councilmember Aloya.
Here.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Here.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Here.
Mayor Rigoloso. Okay, there are 4 ayes, 1 absent, which means a quorum is present for this regular meeting of the Garfield City Council, which is being held today, which is Tuesday, June the 13th, 2017. This regular meeting is being held in accordance with provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. An adequate notice has been provided by mail, facsimile, and email to the official city newspapers and to other interested parties, and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin boards in City Hall. If everyone please rise, we'd like to begin with the flag salute. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father and Almighty God, bless this city council and all their works, that they may be useful to your people whom they serve. We ask this in your name.
Amen.
Amen. All right, City Manager Tom Dutch. Now we're going to have the public hearing on the Bergen County Trust Fund Program. Turn it over to you.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen of the public, the mayor and council have supported and endorsed an application to the Bergen County Open Space Trust. We seek funding this year for the build-out of the Riverwalk. We have received a total of $1,725,000 from the New Jersey DEP from the Riverfront Cleanup Program. It was part of the overall $53 million settlement involving a series of companies in Newark. So we successfully obtained that grant for property acquisition and for the beginning of build-out of the Riverfront Park Phase 2, which will be from Passaic Street to the Monroe Street Bridge. We also went before the Bergen County Open Space Trust, Mr. Boswell and I, to seek funding for acquisition. We received another $400,000 at that time, and we want to go back in this year and ask for $460,000 so that we can defray the costs of the build-out of the Riverwalk for Phase 2. We intend to continue to aggressively pursue grant funding that may be available, and that's whether it be through the NJDOT, the Department of Transportation, through Green Acres, or through any other source that's available. So the purpose of the hearing tonight is to seek public comment, if any, regarding the proposed Phase 2 project. Again, we are seeking additional funding from the Bergen County Open Space Trust. We continue to do that aggressively, and I recommend that we continue to do that each and every year.
Thanks, Tom. I'll now open it up for anybody from the public who would like to speak with regards to this and this only.
Is the Passaic Street project?
No, this is the River Drive project, the park. Correct. Anybody else? No, with regards to that, since there's no public, I now close the public, since there's no public wanting to speak about it, I now close the public portion.
So with that, Mr. Deputy Mayor and members of the governing body, the clerk will prepare an appropriate transcript. We will submit the transcript to the Bergen County Open Space Trust in support of our application, along with the notices of publication, et cetera, which were published and which were previously endorsed by the mayor and council. So I would like to thank you for supporting Phase 2, the beginning of Phase 2 of the Riverwalk project. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Continue to.
Sure. At this time, if there would be a motion to approve the reports of the cabinet as presented orally and in writing during the work session held earlier this evening.
Motion?
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Aloya, seconded by Councilmember Aaron Delaney. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso. Okay, we have 4 ayes and 1 absent. Resolutions, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Please.
Okay, Mr. Deputy Mayor, members of the City Council, all the resolutions listed on the agenda have 5 signatures on them. So if there's no objections, I will take 1 roll call vote on all the resolutions. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Rigoloso. We have 4 ayes, 1 absent. All those resolutions are duly adopted. Bills and claims, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Please.
Okay. resolved by the City Council of the City of Garfield that the following bills, number 2044 to 2045, covering Dog Trust Fund, Community Policing Trust Fund totaling $895 and no cents, and the current fund totaling $217,763.66, and the water fund totaling $5,013.79, and the general capital fund totaling $287,438.64 per attached computer list be ordered paid, and the proper officers are hereby authorized to issue checks for same, provided that there are funds in the respective appropriations. Be it further resolved that the action of the mayor, city clerk, and city treasurer in issuing checks and payment on the ratification list, which includes 12 items prior to the meeting, be ratified. Bills and claims resolution is signed by the entire city council. On the roll call, Councilmember Aloya.
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo.
Yes.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney.
Aye.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Regaloso. Okay, we have 4 ayes, 1 absent. Bills and claims are approved. Ordinances, Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Please.
Okay, the following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on May 30th, 2017. It was duly published. Copies were posted on the bulletin boards in City Hall. Copies were made available to the general public, and having complied with the law, this ordinance was not read in full, and the City Council can now proceed with the public hearing and final passage. Ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garfield, Bergen County, New Jersey, establishing a new chapter of the city code regulating drones and unmanned aircraft. I don't know if our legal counsel wants to say anything.
No, do we
just-
have to open it up for public right now?
If your intent is to defeat it, you could just defeat it.
Oh, so
Without-
we
without a
could just
public
defeat it then?
Yeah. if
Okay,
that's the
now just
intent.
take a roll call. Can I do that? Or do I
Yeah,
have to-
sure.
Yeah, if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you're confident. Okay,
All right,
yes.
am I confident that would, yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
roll call.
On the roll call on second reading, Councilmember Aloya,
No.
Calandrillo,
No.
Aaron Delaney.
No.
Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
No.
Mayor Regaloso. We have 4 nays, 1 absent. The ordinance is defeated. The following entitled ordinance was introduced at a meeting held on May 30th, 2017. It was duly published. Copies were made available to the general public, and having complied with the law, this ordinance was not read in full, and the City Council can now proceed with the public hearing and final passage. An ordinance amending ordinance number 2221 for future inclusion in Chapter 325 upon codification of the code of the City of Garfield, specifically establishing alternate side of the street parking in the City of Garfield. You need to declare public hearing.
All right, Tom, could you explain this?
Certainly. This is an ordinance that was brought about, it actually was requested under the last administration, and this was for parking at school number 7 and school number 8. It is to change the parking around the schools. Parking around some of the schools is particularly difficult, so this goes, instead of a 4-hour no parking zone, it goes to a 1-hour no parking zone. It is recommended by Lieutenant Marsh and the Traffic Department.
This is basically for street cleaning, correct?
Correct. Street cleaning.
I'll now open up the public portion of this to discuss this ordinance only. I see no hands, I now close it. Roll call.
Okay, on second reading, Councilmember Loya,
Aye.
Councilmember Calandrillo,
Aye.
Councilmember Aaron Delaney, Deputy Mayor Joseph Delaney.
Aye.
Mayor Regaloso. We have 4 ayes, 1 absent. The ordinance is duly adopted, and that completes all written items for voting at this time. Mr. Deputy Mayor, members of the City Council.
Okay, now open it up for citizens and taxpayers. Anyone like to come up to the microphone, please give your address, your name, social security number, first of kin. Everett?
Everett Garnto, 51 Jewel Street, Garfield, New Jersey. I just wanted to come up this evening. I know over the last couple of months there's been concern about our garbage company, how horrible they're doing picking up our garbage in the city. I just want to let you know, if you need another reason why to get rid of them, I'll give you one that happened yesterday. 10:30 in the morning, I'm coming down my driveway, walking my dog. I get on the corner of Jewel and Columbus, and there's a telephone pole right at that corner, and I see a black male with a vest, which was one of the workers for the garbage company, leaning with his penis out and peeing on the curb. At which time, those of you who know me know what I did. I got a hold of him. I says, "What, are you out of your mind? There's a Wawa right across the street. Why, no one's here, no one's," I go, I identified myself as a police officer. He tried to take off. I did what I had to do to put him down, and the police expedited there moments later. He gave a false name. There was warrants for his arrest. The people that he worked for didn't even have his right name. So this is what is in our city, picking up our garbage. I just wanted to share that with you. If you needed any other reason to get rid of this company, that's another one. Thank you.
Thank you, Everett. Anybody else? Judy? Yeah.
Good evening, Judy Fraser, 88 Prospect Street, Garfield. I'd like to begin. Last week, Georgia Carroll and I met to discuss the ongoing problem of garbage and litter in Garfield. This subject has been talked to death at council meetings, and we decided to offer a proposal that has some ideas to help solve the issue from a different angle. Although we applaud the civic-minded efforts of different groups, including students, who get out there on various occasions to try and clean up garbage sites like the riverbanks of the Passaic River, their efforts are soon forgotten and we're back to square one. The irony of these efforts lies in the fact that those who are trying to do something good are not the ones responsible for the pollution, nor are they the ones who are carelessly and thoughtlessly tossing garbage or continually littering our streets. We would like to see this turned around and put the onus of this behavior back to the source where it belongs. This means the people living in our communities are the ones we must encourage to work together to change this behavior and make it unacceptable. How do we do this? First, there must be more garbage receptacles put on the streets, especially on corridors where there is foot traffic like Passaic Street. For example, right now there's only one in front of Farmers Insurance. They should be outside delis and restaurants. We should put to rest the umpteen statements that have been given in this chamber nixing this idea. Let's get something straight. When people walking on sidewalks see garbage receptacles, they use them, period. Secondly, we'd like to see an aggressive, relentless campaign that focuses on cleaning up the streets. We need a slogan, something short and snappy that sticks in the mind and is unique to Garfield. The cover page of this handout suggests one, but that can be changed or tweaked. But in order for this to work, it takes leadership. It's not enough to make announcements in this chamber or place a few articles in newspapers. We suggest the mayor, accompanied by one or two council members, visit these corridors that have businesses and speak to them personally, explain the goals, and promote what the campaign is all about. More importantly, encourage them to get involved and cooperate. Suggesting they sweep the sidewalks outside their businesses to keep them clean is a small request, but will improve the street and make it more pleasant for pedestrians. Should they hear any reluctance to not bother because of the redevelopment plan, it should be pointed out that it will take years for the plan to come to fruition. We also suggest the mayor give them a placard, something having the slogan in bold, bright colors to display in their windows to show they're on board with the campaign. Visiting these establishments should not be a one-time effort, but the members of this council should return on a regular basis with a follow-up. Third, we would like to see this council take a bold and progressive step to draw up legislation banning the use of plastic bags in Garfield. This is not new. Dozens and dozens of cities and counties in the country have implemented the ban or are taking steps in the direction beginning with fees or taxes. There are many options available, but it all begins with supermarkets, retail outlets, business owners, and restaurants. Maryland, Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Montgomery County, and Texas, and Washington, D.C. are just a few examples of places that have taken action. Globally, and this may surprise you, South Africa, Kenya, and Uganda, to name but a few, have done the same, and China has had a total ban since 2008. We cannot deny that the bags are everywhere. They're a blight on the landscape, and we have lots of visible evidence proving that because we see them all over the place. Sometimes they turn into balloons. I'm sure you've seen them floating along up in the air, and for me, year after year, the dogwood tree in my backyard gets decorated with at least one or more bags that get snagged up in the branches. They get blown around, pile up against fences, and the list goes on and on. We would like to point out the internet is full of information on how to go about enacting a ban. We are suggesting that the mayor delegate one or two council members who are familiar with the workings of the internet, I'm thinking of you, Aaron, to begin the research and bring back their findings to the council, discuss it with one another and come up with a viable plan, and then initiate action. We also suggest the mayor might contact other councils in our surrounding area, set up a meeting, explain what you're going to do, and ask them to get on board and be part of the solution to this problem. Why should we do this? It reduces litter, reduces our carbon footprint, protects wildlife and marine life, stops the clogging up of our sewer systems, and cuts the demand for oil. It's an initiative that reaps significant visible rewards and begins the task of cleaning up the environment. It all boils down to something very simple. Plastic bags are harmful to the environment and diminish our quality of life. We need to take steps to reduce their use, so let's start taking the necessary action to put in motion in order to make it happen. We can't think of one plausible reason that might be given for not moving on this proposal. Again, we call on the mayor and council to exercise their leadership and do something wonderful and lasting that will benefit our community for years to come. Perhaps it's time to ask, what will be your legacy? Think about it. I'll close by suggesting we take a lesson we all learned from Thomas the Train, and let's become known as the little city that cares. But before I wrap up this discussion, Georgia, Carol, and I would like to recognize and commend the Green Team for the wonderful work they have planned. But if we dovetail the two projects together, we'll put the city on the fast track to becoming truly green. It's the wave of the future, and we owe it to the next generation to move in that direction. Everyone benefits, and working together will leave something lasting for all those who follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Anyone else?
Michael Denistran, 104 Palisade Ave, Garfield, New Jersey. This is directed at Joe and Aaron Delaney, especially, and the whole council. Back in 2016, you had your flyer here to try to get votes and everything else. I voted for the 2 years. I love you both.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So, in your one of your statements here was to build a neighborhood park in the middle of the first ward, right? And so far, nothing has happened. I'm just wondering if you're doing anything about it as far as trying to get something going for the kids of the first ward. Right now, a lot of the kids, they play in front of number 6 school. The Board of Ed's got signs on no ball playing, and they've done damage and stuff like that. They already broke a car window with a hard ball and stuff like that. A woman had to park her car, and the Garfield police wouldn't allow her to drive the car even and stuff like that. But
I'm sorry, where was this?
Except
Where was this? I didn't catch that.
in front of number 6 school, Garfield. You know, this happened a while ago. But there's numerous other problems, and the ball goes in the street and stuff like that. But I saw it on your platform here, you know, to promote your, what do you call it, to get votes and whatnot. But I like to see something going on for the kids of the first ward. My interest too is the old Tenneco's Hayden Chemical site and what's going on with that, because it's been like over 10 years or more. I mean, the place has been, you know, condemned or whatever. Last I heard, there was a company from Texas that took over that place or something. Why isn't that place being condemned and taken over? other than, other play, or the number 3 firehouse, for example, I mean, the EPA gave up on us because there's no money now. That's going to be laying dormant for your grandchildren, that stuff will lay underground. So we're going to have to just live with it, As far as I'm concerned, we should do something with these properties, to make it good for the town. At least let the kids have a place to play. Right now, they struggle to find a place to play, is what I'm saying. And I'd like to see something happen to those properties, I know it's been on a back burner, but I go past that property, now the fence is looking deplorable around the property, Kids have scaled the fence and broken the fence up and everything else, but why can't something be done about it? Why can't you just pave it over, That's it, and make something of it. So, well, I don't know what your answer is to those questions.
Oh, I'll answer, Mike, afterwards.
Yeah.
I'll answer you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, will I know soon, or whatever, would you get back to me on that one? So-
Well, after you get done speaking, when the councilman members' comments, I'll give you a few answers
Right.
on that,
But I
okay?
mean, something should be done with that property.
I agree with you, the redevelopment, I agree with you 1,000%.
I've worked all around the whole state. I worked in all your hospitals. I did temperature control, worked for Siemens, Johnson Controls. I worked for Westinghouse Instrument Service. I've been placed in American Cyanamid down in Manville, right? That place was so polluted that they dug and took most of the dirt to fill out of there, refilled it. There's a shopping mall over there. And behind the shopping mall, I think they transfer cars. I don't know if they're new or used and stuff like that. I know the area well, stuff like that, because I worked in the area. I worked for American Cyanamid. I worked in some of the dumpiest place along the turnpike over there, doing control work. But I'm just saying, with a little bit of money, that things could be changed, stuff like that. Paved over, whatever. Make a park out of that place. Do something with it, We're hanging on to them. I don't know why, It's, but it's in the area. I remember Hayden Chemical when they were pumping all kinds of smells out of there. They made formaldehyde. I played behind number 6 school, so it's, something could be done with that property. If they could do it in Manville, we could do it here. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anyone else?
We can talk to Joe tomorrow, he could explain it.
All right.
Tom, you're going to discuss the redevelopment of Pinnacle.
Hello, my
Oop. Good job, Bev. Way to be quick, Kev.
Mr. Delaney. My name is Gal Koshik, 23 Spencer Place. I'm here to just say a couple of things. One, I don't have to tell you how I feel about the garbage. It's already been said 100 times. Garbage pails, I don't have to say that. There should be one, especially by the church. Don't have to tell you how I feel about garbage pails. Two, I buy the railroad tracks. I live right behind the railroad tracks. I say hello to the guys, goodbye to the guys when they whistle. I was at the last meeting, I was told that you cannot go on their property, you couldn't clean, the council couldn't do anything about it. Well, I called, and 2 days later, I had one of them coming at my door knocking. They cleaned up the railroad tracks for me. I was told Walmart, when you had the, I guess the teachers, the council for new people, they had big signs outside of Walmart, behind Walmart.
The Board of Education
The Board of
election?
Education signs, they had them behind Walmart by the park. They were torn down all over after they were elected. It was garbage all over. I went into Walmart because, again, the council people said they cannot do it, then it's not their property. So I went into Walmart and I asked who was in charge. She said I got the manager, and she called the owner, and the owner the next day came and cleaned it up. And no offense to all the council people, I think you're great, but if I have to do this myself, why do I need to? Why do I have to come to a meeting, do it myself? It's not fair. The railroad track, underneath the underpass in Passaic, that's the sign is filthy dirty. It was supposed to be painted last year. I was told they just don't want no ways with their transit people, because they might not do it, they're not doing it anyway. That's a horrible sight when you come into Garfield to see, going under that trestle and seeing that. And it's dangerous. It really is dangerous. And again, he's afraid to call the transit people and tell them, this is our town. They're not giving us money, and we're not getting anything from them. They're using our town. We're not using them. They're using us to put their trains across our town. So I don't know why anybody's afraid. If everybody's afraid, I'll do it myself and call them. They need to change that. They really, really need to change that. And again, I'm no offense to anyone, but if I have to do this all by myself, Chase Bank I went into, told them to clean it up. This is not fair. I'm not a council person. I'm only a little person married to a police officer, and that's all I am. You are supposed to represent us and help us, and why should I do this? I'm not sitting up there. This is your town too. And I'm only here 4 years. And most of you have roots here. So I would like to see that done. And again, if you can't do it, I'll do it. But why do I have to come to a council meeting and ask you to do this for us? I'm sorry. I don't mean to feel in that way, but I do. And again, I'm just a little person. I have no say, but they did it for me. And I was very happy about it. And I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anthony Ericat, 224 Division Avenue. I have a question about a couple things that I've noticed around the city. I'm active with my kids. My children are in the school system. They're 6 and 4. And I noticed that Century Field, what I've actually noticed since probably winter, there's a jungle gym there that's still not completed. I mean, it's June. It's been covered in snow at one point. You know, you guys, I don't know if I should come to you guys for that, but at some point, I would hope that that would be available for the kids to use. Actually, my kids live right there on Elizabeth Street. And the reason I actually bring that up is because I went to a fun day that the YMCA throws, and they use Century Field. And, they're bringing up garbage and things like that. There's tons of garbage all over these parks, even on Spring Street. I mean, my daughter, she's 4, she picks up all the bottles, throws them in the garbage, because it's what we do. We go to Belmont, something that we do. But the jungle gym's not available for those kids. So when the YMCA used that park that day, you'd think you would have access to those types of things, and they didn't. So it was almost as if the Y was stuck with not really having many activities to really do that day at Century, which I really think they should have probably moved it down to the other park. The other thing is, I think that we got to get some of you guys, maybe go into the schools. Maybe you guys, go into the schools, because everything you guys tell me, it all starts at home. I know Mr. Delaney mentioned that to me, I think, a year ago. Everything starts at home. Maybe it's time to preach that to these kids, that, the parents are going to have to get a hint, because it's not so much the kids as much as it is the parents. Because what I'm noticing is you guys rent out the fields, I guess, over at Century Field to a lot of adult softball teams and stuff like that. You guys should go over there. Listen to the language that's used. It's quite impressive. Great vocabulary, a lot of kids in the area. You have these adults there, and it's pretty interesting the time I was there, because they have the men's softball league going, and you had the high school girls softball team playing a game. And it was just, to me, it was just pretty bad, as a dad. That's that stuff as far as the gym. The garbage I brought up like they have in the past, so obviously there's a real issue with it. You guys didn't want to put out garbage pails. I think when I brought it up, it's kind of like, we don't want to have too many garbage pails in all the streets. But the recycling pails aren't available. There's nothing in this city that I've seen. I know other towns have pails that are blue for the recycling, to up that. The only other thing is, at 228 Division Ave, I asked about a tree that's over there to be looked at. I would hope that eventually would get looked at, because it is growing into the lines. And a speed bump in that area, because there is an autistic child on that street. She lives right next door. There should be maybe something that says, a special needs child. I know other towns do have those signs. I mean, I don't know how many tickets we write for dog poop, but I don't think it's a lot. So we can maybe get a sign for the special needs kids and where they live in town. So we hand out a lot of these, parking things for people who are disabled and things like that. Maybe we can get a sign, because there are this town has a lot of special needs kids. It does. And, my children's mom, she's a teacher in New Milford, and she teaches an entire autistic class. And it's time that we start to adjust to certain things. There is a special needs community here. There really is. And I was kind of taken back by how I see some of these children get treated in the city. It's kind of sad that they don't have a special maybe day just for them. It really is. Maybe that's time that the city comes together and does something for them, because it actually seems like they're almost segregated in a certain way, And I noticed that. And and I know you guys all have good hearts. You guys are all about the kids and doing everything for the kids, and I just think that that's something that's important. I think you guys are all doing a pretty good job. I really do. I like everybody up here equally. I don't have any favorites, but I've asked for little things. I remember the parking little thing. I have a driveway now, so you don't really hear me about that. But the city's got to do something, because there are certain streets, man, you can't even park on. And there's definitely a problem. And when it comes to our DPW, I know that there's a lot of people who get these jobs, and I'm around town all the time. I almost feel like I'm semi-retired. I have so much free time. I'm always smoking a cigar. I'm always sitting down by where the river is, and I enjoy my cigar. I think you guys need to take a look at the DPW. I think you need to look at it, because sometimes when it's not working, it's not working. And I know corporate companies, that have fired pretty much everybody they had, because sometimes you just have to clean house, clean it out. You clean the house, clears everything up. It sounds crappy, but then you know what? You put a help wanted sign up and see more. You get better people who want these jobs. The DPW, to me, what I've seen, and I have a lot of free time over the past year, they do less than me, and I'm doing nothing. So I'm sitting around smoking cigars, looking at the river, looking at everything, and I'm watching everything. I just can't believe the free time that these guys have in a city like this. I really can't. I seem to be at Dunkin' Donuts. There's 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 of them. And I don't get it. Wherever I go, I seem to run into 4 or 5 at a time. Not 1 or 2, but 4 or 5. And they're all doing the same thing. They're doing what I'm doing. And they're doing it at all different hours, 10 a.m., 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 3. Let's just take a look at who we have here. These jobs are the creme de la creme, from what I hear. These are the town city jobs that everybody wants. Let's take a look. That's all I ask, is that you guys take a look. And maybe some people are maybe dead weight. We need to just, no matter who they are, who they're related to, it's time to just say, you got to go, Fredo. We all got a Fredo in our family. We all do. We can't keep hiring our Fredos. So that's all I got to say, right?
Thank you, Anthony. Anyone else? John?
John Easom, 103 Gaston Avenue. One is a thank you for putting the speeding detection sign on Gaston Avenue. That was really nice, quick response. I hope that the firemen pay attention to it when they come flying down the street also. So hopefully it'll remind them to slow down a little bit. So hopefully that'll work out well. The second thing was the dog signs in Century Field. I know I brought this up a couple of years ago, and I just have a thought. Maybe we can amend the ordinance that says you're not allowed to have dogs in Century Field to pick up after your dog in Century Field, because everybody walks their dogs around Century Field. And I remember one time I brought this up, and somebody said it was more difficult to take an ordinance off the books than to do anything about it. We don't really police it. Nobody really gets fines for walking their dogs in Century Field. I love dogs. I don't mind that they walk the dog in Century Field, but maybe we could just make them pick up after the dog in Century Field. But take the signs down. It's really, in my mind, maybe it's my OCD or something, but it's annoying to see something that nobody's going to enforce. So maybe we could just, change the ordinance to pick up after your dog. The third thing was, a couple of meetings ago, I brought up the water service contract that we should be offering our residents so that they don't sign up with other companies, because there's a lot of companies sending things to the residents in Garfield saying, hey, if the water line breaks between your house and the street, you're responsible for it. It can cost you $6,000 or $10,000. Pay us a maintenance fee or a contract fee and we'll cover it, like a PSE&G worry-free service. But I was told that the city of Garfield was going to offer that to the residents, and it would be a potential revenue maker for the city. So we should do that before people sign up with other services. And the last thing, and Tom's going to love this one, is the Nixle. Here we are, the first meeting of June. There's been no Nixle announcements for the city council meetings for the month, because we agreed maybe one Nixle for the month. But I also have an additional thought that since we're televising these meetings, maybe at the end of this, the televising, they can say the next city council meeting will be on such and such a date. Because I think we should get more people to get together and talk about Garfield and what we could do to make it great. That's all I had.
Thank you, John. Anyone else from the public? And seeing no hands raised, I now close the public portion. Tom, would you like to say something before I go into council?
Yeah, if I could, just a couple of responses. I'm going to go backwards here. Last month, the meetings were advertised on Nixle. Last month, I called the police department to make sure that was done. I frankly did not call them this time. I did say that I thought it should be done, that once a month we should do an announcement. These are our 2 meeting dates, so I did not follow up. Again, I did it last month, but did not follow up this month. I like the idea of at the end of the meeting, maybe we can put something on for the next meeting. I'll have to check with my student volunteers, my very capable student volunteers, and see if we can do that. There were a lot of complaints about trash. Mr. Garofalo, after one of the meetings, reported that he had New Jersey Transit there. In fact, he went out, he took numerous photographs to show that they went up and down the tracks and cleaned everything up. So I was not aware that the problem has returned so quickly. He sent us probably 13 or 14 pictures showing before and after. So I will follow up with him. So.
Did you want to just comment on the redevelopment with the chemical?
Oh, yes. Mr. Denistran raised a question about Kalama. Kalama Chemical Company, the former Kalama site, is indeed in a redevelopment zone. It has been in a redevelopment zone for many, many years. The Kalama redevelopment site was discussed at a conference last year at Montclair State University, a conference attended by different state and federal representatives from 8 different agencies. And we talked about what can be done to allow us to develop there. There are 2 chemical substances on the property that will be there for years to come. They have spent more than $10 million on cleanup. They are going to continue to spend money on cleanup. We do have a person who is interested in redeveloping the property. That company is called Paragon Redevelopment. They're located on Paragon Drive in Montvale, New Jersey. They are a company that specializes in the cleanup and redevelopment of dirty properties. So we're lucky to have them on board. They recently asked that their right to redevelop that property be extended again for another 6 months. They continue to aggressively pursue the New Jersey DEP for final approvals to be able to do something with it. Their redevelopment proposal is to do a commercial development on the site with some office space at the top. They would relocate all of the monitoring wells throughout the property. They would be relocated within heavily treed and shrubbed islands, traffic islands, so that they would not be a hazard on the site. You wouldn't be able to walk across the traffic islands because the monitoring wells would be located there. There's a building on the property. That building operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. That building is cleaning every day as we work, as we sleep, as we go throughout this city. That building is every day treating the groundwater, all right, treating the contamination, and then releasing the treated water into the storm sewer system. So it's a huge project. It's beyond our technological understanding. It was my hope that at the Montclair State hearing, we would get some fantastic answer and some kind of wizardry to help me get this thing done. We simply have not been able to get it done because of the extent of the contamination there. So the redevelopment agency is very interested in working with Mr. Shavitz, and as soon as that clearance comes through with the DEP, I assure you that we would like to move forward. There was a proposal that came in, and they talked about maybe capping it and using it as a truck depot. Frankly, the redevelopment agency didn't think that a truck depot at the entrance to the city over that bridge would be appropriate. So the redevelopment agency determined that they would rather wait, even though it looks terrible, that they would rather wait to see if something better comes along. The problem with the city taking over ownership of one of those properties, either that one or EC Electroplating, the environmental problem could become ours. If the environmental problem becomes ours, we can't afford it. We just simply can't afford it, so we can't let it happen. So we need to let the DEP and the EPA take their due course, even though it takes them a long time. That's my recommendation.
Thanks, Tom. I will now continue with council members' comments.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. First, I concur with Mr. Dutch, being part of the original redevelopment program, charter people, that's exactly what we were confronted with. The issue is a very big issue. It looks like it's not happening, but it is happening. Unfortunately, it's a lot slower than we'd all like, and you're right. With regard to the trash and the names of the employees, I think, Mr. Dutch, that's actually something I think we have a right to know. If we have people that we're hiring as contractors, and they are not lawful participants, that we should know who they are, what their names are, not something that we can put out in public, but something that at least the city manager's office should be well aware of, because if we're hiring contractors that are using people that shouldn't be in our town, we should know it, so they don't continue to work for us. With regard to the trash issue on Passaic Street, I personally have walked Passaic Street numerous times. I've met numerous of the owners. I'll be quite frank with you, they don't give a damn. I met with the liquor store gentleman who was kind enough to call me up one day about a parking issue. Upon my arrival to his property, and this isn't that much long ago, he had all of his cardboard boxes stacked outside the front of his business. I'm saying, you call me here for parking, and look what you are. You've got all this trash here. I think actually the customer is more influential than the council. When they know that you're going to start telling your neighbors, don't shop there, don't go there, not a good place to walk, because you have people that own real estate there that don't care, I think that is a very, very powerful message. I don't think that message should come from the council, but I think as a marketplace, it absolutely has a place. I can tell you, even when we had the Chamber of Commerce, that was something that we literally went there, swept the streets, planted the trees that you see by the trestle, because we were trying to hide the trestle, planted the plants that were next door to the post office, painted the post office. By the way, then the federal government sent us a letter and they were going to sue us for painting the side of their post office with the graffiti on it. Strange world. We went out, the city went out and bought all the trash pails that you saw on Passaic Street. Then the people and the residents started putting their own home garbage in the trash pails so they didn't have to take their trash out anymore. I do question the fact that, and I have to give Mr. Garofalo credit for this, on all the corners you see these signs on trash recycling containers. They're all over the city. A lot of businesses advertise and put them there. So you can't say that we don't have them, because they are there. On corner of Midland and Outwater Lane, on Monroe Street. There's a number of them. Now, I think you're right, it's hard to get people to use them. I like the slogan idea. Maybe if we got people more emotionally involved, that it would work. But it seems like not many carrots can come out of this room. It's more the stick that comes out of us, where we issue people tickets for violation. Going quickly as I can, I've been proposing Monroe Street and Palisade. There's an old dilapidated gas station there. The city should acquire that and make that an improvement. I agree with you about the old fire company, number 3. Just grass it, mow it, make it an inner city park. It's a lot cheaper than all of the many options. Just go in there and cut it. Just make it green. It works a whole lot better. With regard to special needs, you do know that we do support a special needs team that was established maybe about a year or two ago. So the city is actively supporting them. I'm not really sure that that's something that we can go beyond that, but we support all of the teams. And then the parents to the special needs children came, and the council then said, you know what, we're going to support you also. So there's already those leagues that are there. With regard to the children that are autistic or deaf or whatever, yes, I think the signage should go up. What I'm amazed is you didn't attack us on the parking issue with handicap, because I really do think we have to review that. Now, it's too many doctors are giving out too many placards to justify minor illnesses that warrant parking, and people that really do need them don't get them. With regard, I don't encourage smoking cigars. I do like cigars, by the way. But you know, all the things that we do, I think we're the most effective when we have our citizens sitting out on the stoop. I think you can actually, no disrespect to our police officers, but you'd have less crime and wouldn't need as many cops if we all went back out to sit in front and see the people that throw trash out. Because, I mean, I have to clean my own block. I have to have my people go out. Even today, we had to go out with shovels and pick up all the dog poop, because we get the poop, but we don't get anybody to clean it. But I think an active participants, just sitting out on the stoop. And my last issue, because I know the clock is always ticking, Boys and Girls Club, to our board members, I hope you don't bring in the special needs situation to the Boys and Girls Club, because I think that would be most destructive. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Calendro?
Yes, on the Corona property, and I know we've heard a bit, but this is a big thing. This is something that's been in the works for some 20-some-odd years. Back when I was the mayor, we worked with Smart Growth, and Senator Sarlo, we were in the 36th district at the time, he took the lead and he helped us tremendously. He arranged the meetings down in Trenton. He actually had us hosting one of the Smart Growth meetings right in our own city hall. So I think that's what we have to put our effort into, is to get them to keep moving. You know, with that property, there is a responsible party. They know who contaminated it. You know, the parent company that now bought it is cleaning it up. It's at a slow process. I think we need to step up, put our foot on the pedal, and speed it up a little bit, because we've been waiting for so long. To the redevelopment authority for turning away the truck stop or whatever, I'm very happy to hear that, because that property, even though it is, and at the time, I was told, one of the most contaminated sites in Garfield, they actually had to revert back to a European standard as far as cleanup and what was really going on there. So we do understand it's bad. However, when Mr. Shavitz came to the board, he had some pretty good ideas as to what to do with it. I'm glad to see he's still a developer. He has actually paid the city money, right, Mr. Dutch? He has given the city money in advance to develop that property. So it's on the radar. We just have to keep pressing and pressing and pressing until something finally goes, and that will help that whole area. As far as the park in the first ward, I too is that's something dear to my heart. We had talked about possibly by the old firehouse number 3. You know, we took down the old building. Right now, there's maybe some chromium underneath the ground. Cap it. Let's put a park in that area. It's probably the best thing we could do as a city for those residents, and that's something that they really were receptive to during our during campaigning and talking to people. So that's something I would like to see. As far as to Judy and Carol on this report, thank you for putting this all together. I think it's something that, you know, the last meeting, there was a committee for going green. I think that's right in there, as our engineer likes to say, the wheelhouse of what they do, and I'll be happy to contribute and to do whatever I can to be part of that. You know, it is the trend. Sometimes when you hear about some of the countries that are far third world nations that are more advanced than our own country and our own city, you know, that's kind of scary. But that's something that we really have to keep pushing. You know what, maybe to have a placard saying, look, I am one of those businesses that is a clean community, or, you know, let them buy into it. I think that's an excellent idea. You know, we do have money for clean communities. We get a grant every year, right? Tom, what is it, about $30,000?
Yes.
Maybe we could use some of those funds towards that. You know, we used to have a gentleman that used to go around and clean up our parks. You know, I'm not sure what his status is right these days, but you know what? We do have funds, and we just have to utilize it. You know, we have a lot at our fingertips, and I really applaud you for going to the Chase Bank. I also did that. I happened to be making a deposit. I went to the branch manager. I said, you know what? Your bank has come up at our meetings more than once, and they apologize and pledge to do something. They also say that a lot of times it's corporate. They have to go to corporate first, and then, which really makes no sense. However, it's something that has to be done and really has to be worked on, as well as with the Walmart. You know, tonight we talked about Walmart and the whole development, and we talked about the fact that we have to have policing down there. So we've asked Tom to do an analysis. We want to know what the taxes are that this place is bringing us, and why not have them police their own development? It's getting to be it is the largest retail development in the city of Garfield. So with that being said, you know what? They're adding more stores. There's going to be more incidents. Let's get them to step up now. They've been fairly good to the town as far as building what we asked them to build. Now let's see what they could do to control what they've built and to keep things in order. As far as the trestle, if you remember the meeting, I wanted to put a resolution on the floor, because I don't have much faith when they say, well, we're going to do it in the fall, we're going to do it in the spring. You know what? I know one thing. The one time we had trouble, we threatened to call Channel 12 News. They reacted, they came, they took care of, you know, down all our dead ends. The regrowth is tremendous. It's not our responsibility, it's the transit's responsibility. They took care of the problem. Sandy was on top of it, and once they heard that we were going to call Channel 12, they showed up. So that's something that has to be done. As far as the sign, Ms. Erica, I think your sign, you know, are we doing anything for that to help the situation with the sign that he's requesting? Has there been any contact with the city at all on your block? Can we?
No, just tonight, what he said tonight.
Yeah, well, he mentioned that at the past meeting, so maybe we can have someone from our police department reach out to him and get that sign before there is a tragedy. You know, I'd rather be proactive, and let's get the signs up. You know what? It brings awareness. You know, all those speed bumps that I see now, you know, every time I go over one, it's frustrating. However, there was a need for those speed bumps. People were just racing through the streets, and you know what? If someone gets killed, then it's shame on us. So I think we have to take care of that problem. And with that being said, I'm happy to see Phase 2 being in the works. You know, Phase 1 took forever, but it's just how things move. You know, we get Phase 2 on River Drive to start being put in place, and the funding's there, and the 1.7 amount of money, that's a good start, and we're already looking at property, so that's a good way to go. And it's just it's a shame how slow these things take, but you know what? We just got to keep our eyes focused on the prize, and hopefully we'll see that in our lifetime, if not our shorter time than that. So I thank you.
Councilwoman Stellani.
Yes, so Everett, I just want to thank you for sharing the garbage company incident here with us today, because you are right, we have had plenty of complaints before hearing that troubling incident. So this, I do think this needs to be a top priority, and definitely needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. Judy and Carol, I absolutely love this. Thank you so much. You're both so proactive, and I really admire it. The first thing that I thought of when I read this, I actually read in advance, I went ahead, and as the councilman said at the last meeting, we did put together a green team, which I am a part of. And I think it would be a great collaboration. I would love the two of you to be a part of it. I've been heavily involved with the Centennial as a co-chair, but things seem to have been moving pretty smoothly with that. And I think it's okay if I take a step back and take this new project on. So I will definitely be reaching out to you, because I saw that your contact information was on there. I love the slogan idea. I think things like that do work. In my field of work, although it's substance abuse prevention related, not really, and this kind of area, but environmental strategies do work. The placards are an amazing idea. If these businesses can pledge to be green and do their part, maybe we can acknowledge them on our city website, maybe take out an ad in the community newspaper, just involving them in some way and acknowledging those that are contributing to our city. I think it's important to give them these rewards when they are doing a good job. So I will definitely be in touch. Mr. Denistran, in regards to the First Ward Park on our campaign flyer, as Mr. Aloya and Mr. Calangelo have said, there have been plans discussed at the old firehouse location. Hopefully that can become a park. I think it's a perfect area. We've also discussed, we began the meeting today, the Riverfront Park expansion Phase 2 will be beginning, which is also in the First Ward. So I think there are good things that I have to acknowledge that are coming to the First Ward. And while I do appreciate your vote, and with all due respect, I'm a little offended that you said that would maybe be a ploy to get votes, because I think I genuinely ran because I care for Garfield. Things take time. I just would like to ask for your patience, and hopefully, like I said, bring these good things to the First Ward, because they do deserve it. Let's see, where am I? Anthony, I am not sure about the Jungle Gym. I actually saw that for the first time at the game on Saturday, so I have not been to Century Field in quite some time. So I do plan on looking into that, because I don't have an answer for you. I don't know if someone else does, but I honestly don't. So it's a very good point. You know, we want to give these kids something to do, especially in the summertime. And then the garbage in the parks, we definitely need more manpower with our DPW. It's a conversation that we did start, and we did encourage, I'm a big fan that our DPW superintendent needs to be a little bit more proactive in documenting if the employees aren't fulfilling their duties. So that was discussed to start doing so, because if they're not, proper measures need to be taken if they are not doing their jobs. Maybe we can look into scheduling the youth and adults at different times at the park if there is this foul language going on. Hopefully we can discuss that. I think it's the rec director, the rec department that does that scheduling up at Century Field. So again, something that I will be happy to look into. But I do have to say, I did hear you, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you smoke your cigar in the park. Is that what you said? By the river, okay. I just want to make sure it's not. Garfield is smoke-free. And, but yeah, so I just wanted to make that point, because I'm, like I said, big advocate for that. But, and then same thing, Mr. Eastham, Century Field. I would be fine too if dogs were allowed, as long as people are cleaning up after them. But as former Mayor Tana Raymond, also hopefully we could get that dog park rolling, to have people go with their animals there as well. But I wouldn't have a problem doing so. I just don't know the process. But other than that, thank you, everyone, for being here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Laney. Garbage companies, it's been a problem in our city since we put them on. We have to do something. It's a problem. It's a problem. And I've been outspoken about the company since they've been here. So, you got my support with that. And we do have Bratz. He still does clean up the parks through the Clean Communities Grant. He's out there basically, I think, 3 times a week or 4 times a week. I see him cleaning up the parks. So that is part of our Clean Communities money that we have a gentleman cleaning up the parks. Judy, the proposal was great. You know, my daughter said it great. Councilwoman Ms. Delaney said it great. You know, for you to take the time and effort, and the other people on your committee to put this together, it's huge. You know, we take for granted a lot of things in Garfield. And one of them that we can't take for granted is the cleanliness. I've been outspoken for the cleanliness of the city forever. I like the plastic bags, but we do have a price right in the city. That is BYOB. It's bring your own bag, which I'm always there with my own personal bags. I never get a plastic bag there. So that's one business in our city that does help out the environment. You know, so I agree with that. We could definitely discuss with the mayor about setting up a cleanup, a litter, you know, a cleanliness committee here on the city council. I think that's a great idea. Mike, thanks for keeping the peace, Mike. I appreciate that. You know, it was a nice piece too, wasn't it? I look a lot younger in that piece. But, you know, Mike, I used to play football in front of number 6 school on that little patch of grass. That's all we had growing up. You know, that was a lot of grass for us growing up. Today we have a lot more parks that we're able to use. And, but back then we were happy with that. I definitely agree that it was said. Tonight we're starting phase 2. That's in the first ward. That's a park that's going to be in the first ward in the future. I believe that's the whole entire first ward is that park.
It's just for 6th Street Bridge to Monroe Street Bridge.
But that is the first ward.
It is the first ward.
It is the first ward. So we are concentrating on the first ward. We're not neglecting, we're trying to do a lot of work in there. So Tom spoke with regards to the redevelopment. Carol, with regards to going into Chase Bank, that's great. I went in there when I was the mayor because they had a flag that was flying that was ripped. And I went in there and I explained to them I would like to, you know, have them change the flag. I can't make them, but I just, as the mayor, I went and I spoke to them. And they, of course, said they got to speak to upper management. You know, I also spoke to them with regards to there was a mattress on their property for months about picking it up. You know, so I tell you, and Councilman Lloyd was correct, coming from Joe Smith citizen, I think means a lot to them more than coming from Mayor Delaney. You know, because you bank there, you do business there, so. And with regards to the garbage cans, we do have numerous cans with advertising, I know, on it throughout the city where you have recycling garbage together. So we do have, and we just started that maybe 10 years ago, and there is numerous out there. I mean, but there isn't, you know, enough. And I agree by the church, by Most Holy Name, we have a can across the street by Chase Bank, but yes, there should be one across the street by the school. I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I do walk around. I do go on 6th Street. I try to make myself available during the day to all city events. I attended school number 10 graduation today, Anthony. I walk into the schools. I went to school number 10 in kindergarten graduation where there was a lot of special needs kids there. And if you would have seen the program that these kids put on today, it was tremendous. We do a lot for the special needs. And I was at the YMCA Fund Day also last week. And the problem, they were in the corner, you know, basically that's where they had their setup, the Y. So they basically weren't in the back by the new jungle gym. But we are finishing that. But right now, I'm told by our engineer, we're waiting for the surface to come in so we can complete that project. The rubber mat. So we are working on that. If you remember, we had a set of swings and stuff there not too long ago. We decided to upgrade it. And that's what we're in the process right now, of upgrading the children's activity in that area.
Yeah, we got the same surface on River Drive in the first phase. We're putting that up there on 20th Century.
You know, and also last week we had the PBA did a torch run to raise money for Special Olympics. PBA did raise quite a bit of money, and we also had a lot of people running out there. I happened to be one of them. I didn't take first, but I did finish. You know, and these are small things that we do in the city. And that was for special needs, Special Olympics. We have we have a golden silver medal winner for Special Olympics with Courtney Mums. She was also in the torch runs also. So I mean, I don't think they're neglected in the city. Anthony, I think we do have an awareness for that, and we definitely do like to help them out. So that's one thing. And with regards to the park up there, John, I agree. You know, if we're not enforcing the signs, take them down. Put up a please pick up after your dog sign instead. And with regards to the men's team playing up there, I'd rather see kids playing up there in the men's league. So if we have the chance to correct that, I would definitely rather see the kids in the men's league. Because I really don't think we're making any money from the men's league. I do agree that they do use vulgar language. I've seen them up there, and that's not what I want our parks to be. So with that, I guess that's about it. Motion?
Oh, Mayor, if I may, I just want to wish all the dads out there a happy Father's Day coming up this Sunday. Enjoy your day.
Motion?
Motion. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Aaron Delaney, seconded by Councilmember Calangelo. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We have 4 ayes, 1 absent. We are adjourned.
Happy Father's Day.
Yes, sir.